Hello and welcome to my annual review of the most beautiful books of the year. This video is time-stamped into categories in case there are some genres that don't interest you, and there's a link in the description box to a page on my website with details about all the books I display on this video, which also includes a number of extra bonus books that didn't make it into filming, so it's worth checking out. None of the books are sponsored or sent to me for free. I genuinely think they're beautiful enough to either add to my own collection or share as gifts for others. So grab a beverage, buckle in, and let's get onto the books. This first set of reviews includes picture books, middle grade novels, and books I think would generally make good gifts for kids or the young at heart. Brainy About Bears by Owen Davey is part of an excellent animal series he's been doing, which are beautifully illustrated non-fiction books that dive deep into a specific topic, like sharks or monkeys, or in this case we have bears. Davey's clean geometric illustrations combine with bite-sized facts that make the books appealing for younger readers but still interesting for adults to enjoy. It's perfect for curious kids who love nature. The book that really didn't want to be read by David Sundin is the second in a series of fun, interactive books that flip the reluctant reader perspective to a book. They break the fourth wall and they get kids who might not love reading to engage with the story in a playful way. All the Beautiful Things by Katrina Nanestad is a historical World War II novel for middle graders that gently weaves joy and sadness together. In addition to the illustrated end papers, there are some black and white illustrations throughout the book as well. I picked up the most boring book ever because it was written by Brandon Sanderson, although I have to say his text is pretty minimal. The first indication of what the book's about can be seen by contrasting its plain white cover with the fabulous dragon hidden cover design. This is essentially a picture book that's got a great sense of humour, and it's got storytelling that pairs with images that plays with what you'd expect to see. It's the kind of book that invites kids to think differently about stories and how they're told. Building from numbers 1 to 12, Counting Winter by Nancy White Carlstrom follows creatures big and small through the snow-covered woods. The poetry is lively, although some of the language is complex for a counting book. I personally don't mind explaining beautiful language in a read aloud, but I know not everyone feels this way. I particularly love the atmospheric scratchboard art by Claudia McGehee, down to each individual animal face. The dictionary story is classic Oliver Jeffers, and as a bonus it's a joint effort with Sam Winston, with whom he also co-authored the delightful A Child of Books. There are cute debossed characters on the boards under the dust jacket, and the plot's about a dictionary who wants to tell a story instead, and it ends up being a beautifully illustrated exploration of language that feels both whimsical and meaningful. It's a celebration of words and creativity. I'd also like to include a second Oliver Jeffers title here. Yes, he's that good. And that's Where to Hide a Star, which was just recently published. This one's aimed at the explorers, as it follows a young dreamer on a quest to keep a star safe. It's a lovely picture book for celebrating curiosity. Fear and the Last Snow Deer by Eilish Fisher is set in prehistoric Ireland, and it follows 13-year-old Fear and her snow deer Solus as they embark on a perilous quest to find the mythical deer mother and end the village's eternal winter. The lyrical narrative beautifully intertwines themes of hope, friendship and resilience, while Dermot Flynn's evocative illustrations throughout the book play with light in a way that's intensely immersive and moving. Jonty Gentoo by Julia Donaldson and Axel Scheffler is a charming, playful picture book about a penguin with a big personality. Julia's knack for rhythm and rhyme make this a joy to read aloud. But my favourite Donaldson and Scheffler collaboration is still The Gruffalo. This miniature version of the classic children's book is a collector's edition commissioned to celebrate the Queen Mary's Doll's House at Windsor Castle. It's a reproduction of the tiny dolls book they created for the Doll's House, and it features Julia's handwriting and 60 illustrations reimagined by Axel. You can even see what Gruffalo crumble looks like for the first time. Perfect for tucking into a Christmas stocking. Emily Rodda is best known for her Deltora Quest series, and her new fantasy series Landoval appeals to those who want to read a whole series at once, because all 3 novels were published simultaneously. Aimed at middle grade readers, the story is a classic fantasy quest, combining magic, mystery and adventure. This collector's box is embellished inside and out, and all the books have sprayed page edges. King Alfred and the Ice Coffin by Kevin Crossley Holland is the story of the West Saxon king who was best known for fighting off the Vikings, but he was also famous as a man who championed the power of storytelling. Christopher Riddell brings his signature detailed illustrations to the story, which adds depth and charm to the text. A beautifully atmospheric tale set inside a secret spy academy for girls, The Midwatch by author-illustrator Judith Rossell pulls readers into a world of whispers, jewels, and hidden secrets. Printed throughout in blue text, the storytelling is perfectly complemented by her haunting illustrations. The Great Book of Monster Legends by Taya Orsi dives into myths and folklore from around the world. The text aimed at young kids, so it's very brief, but the illustrations by Anna Lang are stunning and worth taking time to pore over. The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Marcy K. Monson is an interactive picture book that introduces young readers to Agatha Christie's classic mystery through a very simplified version of the plot, but includes plenty of activities and puzzles to interest young detectives. Letters from the North Pole by Annie Atkins is a fun, interactive collection of letters between Santa and children around the world who write to him, and it includes 5 actual pull-out letters and schematics illustrated by Fia Tobig for them to enjoy. This is ideal for adding a little bit of magic to the holiday season. Pandora and the Story Forge by Gaynor Andrews is a celebration of words and writing. The melodic rhyming text is full of wonder as Pandora, the collector of words, carefully forges them into stories which go out into the world and inspire others to weave their own tales. For me, the real standout are Marie Alice Harrell's dreamy fairy tale illustrations. She's also an illustrator for several books published by the Folio Society, and I highly recommend them as well if you're looking for actual novels with her illustrations. This accessible children's edition of Shakespeare's First Folio was created by the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust to celebrate the 400th anniversary of the First Folio, which was the first published collection of Shakespeare's plays put together by two of his friends a few years after his death. It introduces young readers to the bard's works in a way that's approachable and fun. It includes 36 plays that have been abridged and are designed so they can be performed by 8 to 12 children in under 20 minutes. I like the abridgments as they keep lots of the original language with famous lines and gorgeous words, but they'll still ensure a positive first experience with these timeless plays. The illustrations are also an excellent way for readers to visualise the characters and locations. Look, even on the borders, every single person in the audience is a different, distinct period character. Such great attention to detail. Set in Costa Rica, Turtle Moon by Hannah Gold follows Silver Trevelyan, who joins her father at a turtle rescue centre and embarks on a mission with her friends to recover stolen turtle eggs. This eco-adventure is beautifully illustrated by Levi Pinfold. A World Full of Winter Stories by Angela McAllister is an anthology that brings together short winter-themed tales for young children from various cultures around the world. It's part of a large series on different topics that offer readers a glimpse into diverse traditions and folklore. It's great for quick read-alouds. And I'm just going to finish up this section with one of the latest entries in the Puff and Cloth Bound Classics series. This one's obviously The Never-Ending Story by Michael End, which I thought would be interesting as you can see how they've handled the black and white illustrations, which have been adapted from colour originals from the first edition. Puff and Cloth Bounds all have sparkly gilt cover designs that are very attractive on the shelf, and they include plenty of enduring classic titles for kids. For the Classics section, I want to start with a couple of series. The Puffin and Bloom Classics series stands out for its gorgeous wraparound covers designed by Anna Bond from Rifle Paper Co., with her signature floral and whimsical aesthetic. It's been 10 years since they added new titles to this collection, so it's nice to see they're expanding it again with 3 Jane Austen titles. Now, although these are advertised as illustrated, note that the illustrations are limited to the cover, end papers and title page only. Next up, I'm showcasing my favourite from this year's releases in the Children Classics series, which is their collection of Grimm's fairy tales with classic pen and ink illustrations by Arthur Rackham. All the books in this series are beautiful pocket-sized editions of classics with decorative textured covers inspired by classic Victorian design. I just received the Chiltern Wizard of Oz this morning, and it's also beautifully illustrated. This is the new Heritage Classics series by Wordsworth. These are affordable classics, quarter-bound in linen cloth, with beautifully elegant cover designs printed on paper that are based on botanical prints by arts and crafts movement masters William Morris and William Kilburn. These are so much lighter than you'd expect. Actually, I'm going to grab my scales and do a comparison between the Heritage and Chiltern so you can see what I mean. Here are their editions of Pride and Prejudice. As you can see, they're a very similar size. But at 386 grams, the Heritage edition weighs in at almost half the 686 gram Chiltern Classics edition. And for the insatiably curious, the Puffin in Bloom came in midway between these at 454 grams. This lettered edition of Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Montgomery is curated by Barbara Heller with a lovely selection of removable letters and other period ephemera inspired by the book to help you immerse you in the author's world as you're reading. Replicas of items from the story include notes between Anne and Diana, the debating club program, and Marilla's recipes for raspberry cordial and currant wine. Each piece is recreated with meticulous attention to historical detail, even down to how the letters are folded when they're put in the envelopes. I love all of the books that Heller has curated, but this one's particularly full of fun keepsakes. Frances Hodgson Burnett's timeless tale, The Secret Gardens, brought to life in this beautifully illustrated edition by Kate Lewis. Kate's paintings capture the magic and transformation of the garden, and the book includes inviting artwork on almost every page to accompany Mary Lennox on her journey of discovery and renewal. This edition of H.G. Wells's classic science fiction novel, The War of the Worlds, offers a compelling blend of classic storytelling with a fresh visual interpretation through Chris Mould's dynamic illustrations. Chris's artwork enhances the tension and drama of the narrative, making it an even more engaging read. Let's open the fiction section with the Agatha Christie special editions. This is a bit of a PSA, as I want to highlight here that they've changed the size of the books in this series this year, which is super annoying for most collectors. They still have really striking cover art and illustrated end papers, although the internal designs seem to be a bit more simple than with previous editions. However, they remain a lovely, inexpensive way to rediscover Christie's work or dive into it for the first time. David Mitchell's Cloud Atlas is a genre-defying novel that spans centuries, weaving 6 interconnected stories from a 19th century Pacific voyage to a post-apocalyptic future. This anniversary edition features a gorgeous hardcover design with striking stenciled page edges, decorative end papers, along with a new foreword and fresh insights from the author. Holly Jackson's best-selling YA mystery series A Good Girl's Guide to Murder follows Pip as she uncovers dark secrets in her seemingly quiet hometown, and the first book was adapted this year into a TV show. These special editions feature glittery covers, eye-catching sprayed edges, and exclusive bonus content. These are UK editions, and so it's important to note there are differences with the US edition. For example, the UK editions are set in the fictional English town of Little Kilton, while the US edition relocates the story to Connecticut. And there are other characters and cultural references that have been adjusted too. House of Leaves is a disorienting cult classic by Mark Danielewski that is as much a puzzle as it is a novel. The story centres on a family who discovers their house is impossibly larger on the inside than the outside, and this leads to this mind-bending exploration of space, memory, fear. Now, a special US edition was released around 20 years ago, and this is the first UK deluxe special edition. I think it might even be the first hardback in the UK. Along with its foiled cover, it's got a maze embossed case and colour text inside to help enhance the reading experience. Lord of the Flies, William Golding's classic story of survival and savagery, gets a fresh look in this graphic novel adaptation by Amy de Jong. Her illustrations vividly capture the island's beauty and the darkness that consumes the characters, making this a really accessible way to experience what I think is a really powerful story. The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke's a sweet Christmas-themed novella, or a short story really. It's an ethereal story, and the black and white illustrations by Victoria Sorden are delightful. It's not a novel like her other work, like Jonathan Norrell or Piranesi. Think of it more as an opportunity to experience a journey with her through the wintry woods. Now, Maria Popova runs a popular website called The Marginalian, and The Universe in Verse is a collection of 15 short essays by her, focused on scientific searching and discovery, each of which is paired with a poem on the same subject, and a delightful illustration by Ofra Amit. The writing's a celebration of wonder and philosophy, and this would make a lovely gift for your thoughtful friends. Next up is Myths and Legends, one of my favourite genres. Freaky Folklore is inspired by a popular podcast of the same name, hosted by Carmen Carrion. The podcast explores myriad myths, both modern and ancient, to discover what mankind fears and why we fear it. With text that examines how haunted forests to eerie urban legends have shaped our culture, combined with dark and atmospheric illustrations, this is a fascinating read for anyone who loves the spine-tingling side of mythology. Gods Don't Cry by Ellen Ryan offers a fresh take on the ancient gods of Ireland. The story retellings are lovely to read and they're designed to resonate with a contemporary audience, while the illustrations by Connor Merriman are just stunning. Even the non-illustrated pages all have cute little border designs. Lore of the Deep is part of the Nature's Folklore series. It includes myths, legends and folklore from the watery wild, and they're accompanied with bright illustrations in a format that will appeal to young readers. Robert Ingpen's exquisite illustrations bring mythical creatures and legendary figures to life in this enchanted collection of Mythical Folk. It covers a range of characters, from mischievous tricksters to benevolent guardians, drawing on myths and legends from around the globe. Now, Macmillan brings out one of these beautiful treasuries every year or so, and this year they're focusing on Norse myths. The story collection's enriched with Golden Age illustrations from their long publishing history, including magnificent colour and line work illustrations from artists such as Arthur Rackham, Helen Stratton and Charles Brock. This alternative collection of Norse mythology will appeal to more mature readers. Neil Gaiman retells the classic myths with his signature vivid prose, but the real standout in the illustrated edition are, of course, the stunning paintings by Levi Pinfold. Levi captures the grandeur and chaos of the Norse cosmos in such a powerful way. The Odyssey is the last volume in Stephen Fry's series that retells classic Greek myths with a contemporary flair. I've got the UK edition here, but I do actually think the US edition that will come out in 2025 is a superior design. The UK edition kind of stuffs the illustrations all together at the end of the book, but it still makes an interesting gift for somebody who's hard to buy for. And I'm finishing off this section with a gorgeous book called Undying Tales by Stephanie Law. It's a captivating collection that highlights real endangered species from around the world, but intertwines their stories with mythology and legends. Stephanie's illustrations are ethereal and fabulous, and I found it a joy to read. I also appreciated the little extra touches like pronunciation guides. Next up, let's look at fantasy and science fiction. M.L. Wong's Blood over Brighthaven is a standalone dark fantasy that delves into the complexities of magic, power, societal structures. The narrative follows Siona, the first woman admitted to a prestigious order of mages, as she uncovers a conspiracy that could revolutionise the practice of magic. Wong is also famous for writing cult classic The Sword of Kaigen, and I love the way she integrates science, philosophy and martial arts into her writing. First printings of this book have red sprayed page edges. Guelph Into the Hinterlands by Larry McDougall is the second of his books to invite readers into the enchanting world of Guelph, a land inhabited by whimsical creatures and rich folklore. It's Larry's artwork that brings this realm to life, making the book a treasure for fans of fantasy art. The deluxe oversized edition of The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins includes over 30 black and white illustrations by artist Nico Delort. I have to admit I was a bit dubious when I saw it was going to be illustrated in black and white, but when you get it in person it makes much more sense, as the illustrations capture the dystopian aspect to this classic book. Alex Astor's Lightlark introduces readers to a world where every 100 years the island of Lightlark emerges to host the Centennial, a deadly game where the rulers of 6 realms vie to break their curses and gain unparalleled power. I enjoyed the intrigue in this fast-paced fantasy, and this lovely collector's edition includes a shimmery metallic slipcase, satin binding with foil stamping, matte end papers, stenciled page edges, a gorgeous art insert and even a bonus scene. In this deluxe edition, Christopher Paolini expands on the world of Allegacia through the eyes of Murtar, a character from the Inheritance cycle. The deluxe edition features a foiled cover, new maps, and bonus artwork. T. Kingfisher's A Sorceress Comes to Call is a dark reimagining of the Brother Grimm's The Goose Girl, rife with secrets, murder, forbidden magic. It's a novella, so a very quick read, and this special edition features a foil stamp on the casing and custom end papers that are actually illustrated by the author. Set after the events of the Caraval series, Spectacular invites readers back into Stephanie Garber's enchanting world with a novella featuring a Christmas celebration. The illustrations by Rosie Fowinkle add a real visual charm to this fantasy stocking stuffer. I adore the design for this deluxe edition of Ava Reid's A Study in Drowning. This is a dark academia fantasy that follows Effie Sayer, a young woman haunted by visions of the Fairy King, as she goes into the world of the late author Emrys Myrddin, which for those of you who don't know is a form of the Welsh name for Merlin. I love the library of books stencilled on the page edges, the marbled end papers, and the detailed foiling on the hidden cover design. Now, I've made a video previously about some of the amazing work of Johan Egerkrans, so it's no secret that I adore his work. This volume's an anniversary reissue of his classic Vaesen, which brings to life the eerie and mystical creatures that inhabit Scandinavian myths. The new edition includes new entries, and if you buy it from his website, it's signed and accompanied by an exclusive signed print as well. The Will of the Many by James Islington came out last year, and I loved it enough to re-buy this recently released special edition. The book crafts a tale set in the Catalan Republic, a society where hierarchy is maintained by the elite using will, a force that harnesses the mental and physical energy of the lower classes to maintain power. As well as being an engaging story, it also explores really interesting themes of complicity and complacency in society. The special edition includes exclusive content such as author notes, a detailed map, and a hidden cover design. I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle is a charming story that starts out along what you might think are fairly typical lines, with a beautiful young princess in love with a knight who doesn't want to do his quest and a dragon hunter who secretly loves dragons, as well as the princess, but it develops into much more. It's a fun fantasy with a Terry Pratchett vibe, and it's got gorgeous end papers and pretty chapter headings as well. Also, if you haven't yet read this author's most famous book, The Last Unicorn, you should definitely grab a copy of that as well. Now, these are the Gollancz Emporium editions of Scott Lynch's Gentleman Bastard series, which they finished publishing this year. It's a really fun fantasy adventure series about a con artist called Loch Lamora and the elaborate heists and swindles he masterminds with his band of thieves. These volumes are really pretty with these sparkly foiled covers, illustrated end papers, colours-stained page edges, but disappointingly they are glue-bound, which isn't great for reading thicker books like this, but they really do look lovely. And now I'm going to finish out this section with a bit of a chat about the crazy surge in special editions with decorative stenciled page edges, or Spredges, that's been building to a huge peak this year. I pulled some of my favourite designs from this year off my shelves, which I'll just flip through here while I chat. If you want to know more about any of the specific titles, just let me know in a comment. I've been tracking sprayed edges since around 2015, when there was really only one printer per country with the capability to print a stencil page edge. Then we had book boxes, which started coming out every month. And now you can buy these sorts of edges anywhere because they're literally coming out every day. One downside of this is that I used to be able to tell the book was likely to be high quality when publishers were willing to sink in additional money to print it with special features. But I don't feel that's so much the case anymore, as some are doing it for the first print run of nearly every title in their list to try and build pre-order numbers. On the other hand, I'm really happy that beautifully decorative books like this have been a bit democratised and they're much more affordable to the casual collector without having to deal with queuing up for release day sales at 2 a.m. or resellers who buy books purely for a chance to flip them. If you do like these sorts of books, I just want to give a quick shout out to the pages on my website where I list all the general access special editions that are coming up, so you can grab a pre-order discount, and it also archives older editions like the ones I've just shown you if you want to have a quick browse of what's been available. Now, non-fiction is always popular around gifting time. I'm starting with the latest in the Atlas Obscura series looking at wildlife. This is a potpourri of facts about plants, animals, and natural phenomena around the world, accompanied with vivid photographs and illustrations. It's a fabulous celebration with the armchair traveller. Novelist Amy Tan shares her passion for birdwatching in the Backyard Bird Chronicles. This is a memoir/nature journal, offering an insight into how deepening her connection with nature provided the author with solace during the challenging times. The birds are American, but the observations, insights, and joy cross international boundaries. DK do a great line in natural world anthologies, all of which have foil on the covers, gilded page edges, and a ribbon bookmark, although the paper binding is a little bit fragile. They contain absorbing images, usually photographs, fascinating information, and a visual index. Any in the series would be a great gift for the budding naturalist. This latest entry is An Anthology of Exquisite Birds by Ben Hoare. Gavin Pretor-Pinney, founder of the Cloud Appreciation Society, has been writing cloud spotting guides for many years. This illustrated adaptation, Cloud Spotting for Beginners, is a delightful introductory guide to understanding and appreciating the clouds above us. The author combines scientific tidbits with personal humour, one poor cloud's described as being the most boring, and the text is then enhanced with vibrant illustrations of colourful skies and captivating cloud formations by William Grill. I loved Etc., an illustrated guide to Latin phrases. This small book provides a fascinating journey through Latin phrases that either commonly permeate the English language or should be brought back into style. The author Charles Hodgson provides historical context, usage examples, and charming illustrations for each entry, so it's both educational and entertaining. Excellent for language and history enthusiasts. The Moon and Serpent Bumper Book of Magic's a really comprehensive exploration of the occult sciences. It's co-authored by renowned writer Alan Moore and his late mentor Steve Moore, no relation. Alan first talked about writing this book at least 15 years ago, which gives you an idea of what a labour of love it has been to bring this massive tome together. The book's intended to demystify the arcane, and it delves into the history and practice of magic with a blend of graphic novel, instructional essays, historical accounts and practical guides. And it's got the vibe of one of those crazy annuals that kids used to pore over in the 1980s. It's a fabulous gift for those interested in mystic traditions and esoterica. Insectarium's a captivating addition to the long-running Welcome to the Museum series, offering readers an in-depth exploration of the diverse and fascinating world of insects in a setup that's designed to replicate a visit to a natural history museum. The book delves into evolution, behaviours and ecological significance of the insects, which are brought to life with plentiful, intricate illustrations. John Hendricks's The Myth Makers is a biography that blends graphic novel and prose as it delves into the profound friendship between literary giants C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien. The book chronicles their early lives, their harrowing experiences in World War I, their eventual meeting at Oxford, and it also explores how their camaraderie and the literary circle known as the Inklings influenced their writing of the Chronicles of Narnia and the Lord of the Rings. It's a fascinating insight into how these two authors really redefined fantasy literature in the 20th century. In ornithography, Jessica Rue presents a beautifully illustrated exploration of 100 bird species, delving into the folklore, mythology and symbolism associated with each of them. Every entry features a full-page colour illustration in Rue's detailed, darkly romantic style, accompanied by the lore behind each bird. It would be a beautiful gift for birdwatchers, gardeners, history buffs, or anyone who appreciates nature, myth and art. Sacred Sites is the latest entry in the Library of Esoterica series, which feature essays, interviews, artwork, and photographs on a range of mystical topics. This one travels through the vast and mystical landscapes of myth, religion, and imagination as it explores spaces ranging from ancient temples to modern works of spatial art. Angela Harding's Still Waters is another contemplative journey, this time through cherished environments in the UK. It includes a collection of thoughtful reflections on the natural world, accompanied by over 50 of her distinctive lino-cut and silkscreen print artworks, capturing the beauty of Britain's rivers and coastlines and the rich variety of bird, animal and plant life that inhabit these watery landscapes. If you want even more exploration of the British countryside, Wilding focuses on the untamed and rewilded landscapes that are being restored to their natural states. Closing off this section, I wanted to give an honourable mention to You Don't Have to Have a Dream by Tim Minchin. The actual book is constructed pretty cheaply, but it contains a fascinating collection of personal reflections and anecdotes that challenge conventional wisdom about success and ambition, and it is illustrated. It encourages readers to find fulfilment in the journey rather than fixating on the end goal. This little section is especially for book lovers, with beautiful books about books. Lauren O'Hara's At Home in a Book invites readers to step inside the worlds of 9 classic children's stories through immersive cutaway illustrations of iconic settings and characters in 9 famous classics that range from Alice in Wonderland to The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Perfect for young readers interested in timeless literature. John McMurtry's Literary Journeys is a beautifully illustrated guide that explores over 75 significant journeys in world literature, spanning more than 30 countries and 2,500 years. The book delves into classic and contemporary works, from Homer's Odyssey and Chaucer's Canterbury Tales to Melville's Moby Dick and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Americana. Each entry examines the pivotal journeys within these narratives, offering insights into cultural and historical contexts, and enriching the reading experience with paintings, engravings, photographs, and maps. Another great one for an armchair traveller. And last but not least, Eleanor Baker's book Curses delves into the fascinating history of curses inscribed in books to deter thieves, often invoking dire consequences for transgressors. It's not illustrated, but it is fun to read, so I'm going to share a couple of examples for your amusement and maybe inspiration. This is a book curse inscribed in the Arnstein Bible. The Book of the Abbey of Saints Mary and Nicholas of Arnstein. Whoever steals it, may he die a death. May he be cooked in a frying pan. May the falling sickness and fever attack him. And may he be rotated on a wheel and hanged. Amen. You know that if someone's taken one of your books, you've had this sort of feeling. I love pop-up and movable books, and I keep a pretty close track of what's being published throughout the year for these. So here I'm just going to share 5 of my top favourites, and I'll try and do a longer video with all the rest in more depth later. This enormous pop-up is The Incredible Pop-Up Bug by Ben Hoare and Jasmine Floyd. Lots of interesting facts behind Lift the Flap doors and 3 double-page spreads with giant insect pop-ups. I don't think it's possible to improve on The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, but if you're interested in a simplified version with some new whimsical illustrations for young children, this edition is beautifully done. Monet, the pop-up book, offers an immersive experience into the world of Claude Monet's masterpieces. Each scene is taken from some of his most cherished works, and it provides art enthusiasts with a unique way to engage with Monet's impressionist vision. Another art book, Surrealism, a pop-up journey, delves into the avant-garde art movement that challenges perceptions of reality. It features watercolour interpretations of works from artists like Salvador Dali and René Magritte, and the book uses pop-up artistry to mirror the fantastical elements of surrealism. Shakespeare and Company is a famous English language bookstore in the heart of Paris. You might have seen it in films like Before Sunset, Julia and Julia, or Midnight in Paris. This double-sided tunnel book by Danielle Catali shows both the main bookshop and the upstairs reading library, and it's a simply delightful way to experience the iconic bookstore, whether you're visiting from afar for the first time or reminiscing from an earlier visit. This magical pop-up edition of Swan Lakes, illustrated by Jenny Zemanek. The pop-ups are intricate, delicate and beautiful, and it's a lovely version of a classic story of magic and love. And for a bit of Christmas cheer, let's finish with a flip through this Night Before Christmas pop-up using illustrations from Charles Santore. I like to finish these videos off with some special editions. These are more expensive than the others I've featured, but I think they're particularly beautiful for the collector. I'm going to start with a couple of Folio Society editions. This one is a revised reissue of Thor Janssen's Finn Family Moomin Troll. It includes Janssen's original illustrations, with the headers colorised by Neil Gower, and this brings added vibrancy to the delightful world of the Moomin stories. Folio's illustration of Mary Poppins by P.L. Travers is particularly gorgeously illustrated by Sarah Ogilvie, who brings a fresh perspective while still honouring Mary Shepherd's original drawings. There are illustrations on most pages, which is unusual for Folio, and I think the glorious umbrella spine design is particularly enticing on the shelf. And I'm also slowly collecting the Folio Society editions of Diana Wynne-Jones's delightful Chronicles of Crestomancy series. This year they added Witch Week, which is illustrated by Alison Bryant. Folio Society also went a little bit crazy with their limited editions this year, the most recent being The Hobbit, with 1,000 copies that sold out in less than 15 minutes. I did buy one of their other limited editions because it was a story particularly close to my heart and a really gorgeous production. This is The King of Elfland's Daughter by Lord Dunsany. It's one of the founding novels of the fantasy genre. It was originally penned in 1924. And apart from the stunning illustrated slipcase, this edition is quarterbound in a beautiful midnight blue, butter soft leather, blocked in silver foil. It's got silver page edges, and it has 9 stunning illustrations by Julie Dillon. It's unfortunately already sold out at the publisher, but there are a few available at Abe's and eBay, and I'm hoping they produce a standard edition later so everyone can enjoy it. This edition of The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins is put out by King's Langley Press. It's often regarded as one of the earliest detective novels in English literature, and the book follows Sergeant Cuff as he investigates the theft of a diamond that carries a terrible curse. This is a private press, so it's very carefully made, covered in buckram cloth, and it includes end papers of the country house belonging to the Verinda family, along with 30 watercolour and black and white artworks by Oleg Pakomov. They'll be releasing a matching edition of The Woman in White next year as well, if you want to get in for a pre-order discount. And last but not least, this edition of Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi is a particular favourite. It's got these incredibly dark illustrations by Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy, along with humorous annotations by Lemony Snicket, the master behind a series of unfortunate events. This enormous oversized volume is part of Beehive Books' Illuminated Edition series. It's a completely new way to experience a classic tale, and I really love it. Okay, that was a lot. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to know in the comments if you found any titles here that interest you. I hope you did. Or if you've got any additional suggestions for people to check out. Till next time, bye.